Nick Mullens, I gave him an F. I always want to give Nick Mullens the benefit of the doubt, and I do in this game. I mean, let's lay down the list of excuses he had. Things working against him. He's going up, first of all, he's going up against the number 4 defense in the league. A great D-line. A lot like the Niners D-line from last season. He has no pass protection. He's not athletic. Kittle's out. Debo's gone. Run game doesn't really work well. Yeah, that's legit. If he had finished this game with 150 yards and no touchdowns and no picks, I'd be like, what do you expect? That's the best he can do. What do you expect Jimmy to do? I mean, Jimmy couldn't throw for 100 yards against Seattle. What was he going to do against this game? But the turnovers, I'm sorry. Any quarterback who commits 2 turnovers that lead to 14 points, I'm giving him an F. That's just the way it is. And you know what? I'm sure Nick would give himself an F too. The fumble, trying to scramble, and I feel partially responsible because I was telling him, dude, you need to scramble. You need to scramble. He tried, and he had the ball low and in one hand. You got to hold on to that ball like a vice grip, buddy. That's on you. Can't blame Mike McGlinchey for that. Can't blame Kyle Shanahan for that. That's on you. And Kyle said, don't try to do too much. And he was right. This was the one game where you could have won throwing for 150 yards and no touchdown. You could have won. But that fumble cost you. And then the pick 6, that was 2nd and 2. You didn't have to throw that. You could have thrown the ball away. Alex Smith would have. You could have taken a sack. But those 2 plays trying to do too much, that's why you lost. So I got to give you an F. Even though you're just a backup and you had excuses and it was a good defense and you have no offensive line, F. Sorry. It's a tough world. It's a tough league. You committed 2 turnovers and lit to 14 points. Nick, I'm sorry. F. So what's his future? He's had ample opportunities to create a future for himself on the Niners, on any team. He hasn't done it. Apparently, some team offered the Niners a draft pick in a trade for Mullens last year. They turned him down. Maybe they still would, but right now you can't look at Mullens and say, that's a starter. He hasn't proven it. He looks like a backup. Now, maybe if he had a quality offensive line and Debo Samuel and George Kittle, he would look like Garoppolo did last season. I think he would. But we don't know. The burden of proof is on him. It'd be nice if he could ever play with the full complement of receivers and skill position players, but he never will. Debo's out the rest of the year. You already know. His hamstring's done. Kittle's not coming back. So Mullens will be here next year. I'm sure they'll sign him, pick up his restricted tender. He'll be here. He'll be the backup. They'll draft a guy. They'll sign a guy. They'll bring someone new in. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. They can't trade him. He has no value. No one's looking at him and be like, man, that's my starting quarterback next year. Now, he was better than Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins freaking sucks. And you got to be careful, Niner fans, drafting a quarterback in round 1. You don't want Dwayne Haskins. You know? Be careful drafting Trey Lance. Guy has no experience. Anyway, Nick Mullens, I used to think that he could be a starter in the NFL. I still believe he can. And maybe one day he'll prove it. But he hasn't proven it yet. And the Niners cannot start him week 1 unless he just goes on a tear. They can't. Fans will riot. Fans will freaking riot if he starts week 1. Nick, I'm sorry. I know you want to be a playmaker. You want to make plays. You want to scramble. You don't want to give up on stuff. You're probably better off being a game manager than trying to be a playmaker. People don't give you the benefit of the doubt, Nick. They just don't. They just don't. All right, we got a couple questions. Can we trade Mullens? I don't think so. I think Mullens is your backup quarterback. I think he's worth more than the Niners and other teams. Pick up his restricted tender, give him a second-round tender, bring him back. He's a good backup for you. Ideally, he doesn't play next year, but he will play if you don't address that offensive line. I think quarterback is our last priority, to be honest, at Coffee Bean. Last year, our quarterback was like 6 on the list of important positions. Work on everything else first. Yeah, you can make the argument. I mean, quarterback's the most important position. If the Niners get a chance to draft Zach Wilson, go for it. They won't. He's going to be the second pick in the draft. He's going to go to Jacksonville, where Robert Saleh is going to be the head coach, and Saleh is going to coach Zach Wilson. The Niners aren't in a position to really draft a quarterback. He will get Joe Burrow. He will get David Card. They need to set up a support system around the quarterback. Otherwise, they're just going to ruin him. But we have a bunch of backup quarterbacks. Even Jimmy plays like a great backup. Yeah. In retrospect, comparing Nick Mullens to Jimmy Garoppolo didn't mean that Nick Mullens is a starting caliber quarterback. It just meant that Jimmy G is a backup.